Hi there, News News. I'm Ella.
And I'm Mackenzie, and we are thrilled to share with you what our wonderful reporters have prepared for you today from across the capital. How are you doing, Ella?
I'm doing well, Mackenzie, but I've got to ask, did you see the Golden Globes at the weekend?
I'm a bit guilty, I didn't.
No, it was the only thing that I've been paying attention to. I mean, the star of the show for me has got to be Mary Beth Barone. I don't know if you know her. She's from Overcompensating, show on Amazon, but she did some amazing red carpet coverage. She was hosting a little segment on the red carpet.
Right.
So she interviewed, who did she interview? What started the show for me was Connor Story from Heated Rivalry, new breakout show, by the way, just amazing. She did an interview with him where she mentioned that she would love a challenges moment with him and his co-star. A challenges moment, I don't know if you saw the movie, it's like a little girl in the middle, two guys on the side, if you get what I mean, one of them ones. And she did a smash or pass with Amy Lou Wood,
Yes.
from the White Lotus.
Love her.
I'm going to give you the questions. So she says, smash or pass Frankenstein's monster?
Come on then.
Yeah, cool. We all love a bit of Jacob Elordi.
Jacob Elordi.
And smash or pass the Formula One car?
I've not seen the F1 movie yet.
What about the car though? Would you? 180 miles an hour.
180? No.
No, you're not a fan of the thrill.
I'm not a car girl.
Oh, fair enough. How was your weekend?
It was good, thank you. It was very good. Yeah, guilty about the Golden Globes, but I did see a lot of it on social media, so I'm a bit disappointed. I just find it long to watch in itself.
It is.
But I like the socials catch up. Who was the host like actually on the stage?
You know what? I don't know her name.
I saw that Leonardo DiCaprio.
She was amazing. She was a good choice.
Very, very
I've seen
funny.
her being compared to Ricky Gervais in the way that they presented just deadpan,
Very
straight
fact.
facts, not afraid of anything.
Well, it seems like you were really invested in the Golden Globes this year. I love that for you.
Thank you. Aside from that, we have some amazing stories from our reporters here from across the capital. Flo explored how running clubs and social clubs have been helping people tackle their loneliness.
Oh, Ella, have you heard of hybrid culture?
Hybrid culture? No, I can't say I have.
There's spaces in the city, and Tia, a fellow reporter, went to Paper Dress Vintage to show us how a vintage store transforms into a nightclub in the evening.
I can't wait to hear about that. It sounds pretty interesting.
Over the summer.
Amazing. And anyone who loves a bit of basketball, Tassine's exploring how new funding is going to affect the scene in the capital.
And along with all that and much more, we're going to be getting updates from news, entertainment, sports, from throughout the day, so stay tuned to hear the latest. But for now, we go over to Flo to hear about her investigating combating loneliness.
Loneliness rates in Europe, with levels doubling in the last 20 years. So with London being one of the busiest but loneliest cities, I wanted to find out how Londoners are dealing with the loneliness crisis. Social clubs are spaces designed to help people make new friends and foster relationships. So in order to understand them better, I decided to visit a run club based just outside of London and speak with its founder, Luella May, on the subject.
I decided to start a run club because I was living in London. I'm a runner myself, but I felt like no run club suited me, like I'd never felt like I belonged. I just wanted to create a space for me as well as other people, just to be included and feel safe and that they actually belong. Before I started this run club, I definitely felt lonely. I've never really had like a big group of friends, I've just had a couple of friends, but as I moved away to London, as I've grown up in my 20s, we have grown apart. That's just kind of how it is. It was really important for me to create a community where I felt connected, belonged, inspired and safe. I sometimes ask if people have come alone, like put their hand up and say hi to someone else, just so it kind of eases their nerves and make friends, because that's like the main goal for me when I do these. I definitely think there's a common theme of people that come to my run clubs. They want to find that community and find people that are like-minded and that are, like them and have the same interests. So it's really lovely when girls say goodbye at the end, that they come alone at the start, but they're ending with a friend or a group of friends, and then the next time I see them, they're with the same group of people, which is really lovely. Social media has such a big role in both negative and positive. So in terms of negative, you know, you're just scrolling online for hours and hours, constantly comparing, and I think that can really spiral and you can get in such a deep hole with that. But then it can be so positive, you know, people can create a big online community. It can be a really positive space if you use it wisely. I hope the girls that come to my run club feel inspired and they take away that they can literally do anything because they've put themselves out there, they've gone alone. They can do anything if they've done that. I'd say to anyone living in London to put yourself out there, even though that's so hard, kind of the only way, but also be kind to yourself and don't put too much pressure on it and just let things happen naturally.
So I moved to this area and I didn't have that many friends around me, so I thought I would join, and it's such a good way to make friends when you move to an area where there's not really anyone that you know. It's something social to do.
It's really nice being surrounded by girls with common goals, common interests. It's one of those things where you turn up and you're nervous and you think, I don't know anyone, and then everyone is so friendly, so warm, so welcoming, and you realise it doesn't matter that you don't know anyone before.
Also just really empowering and really reassuring, because no matter what people started running for, there are those commonalities, and then you, even if you're not having the best day, you just get uplifted, which is really, really nice.
That's what half of the reason people are coming to, is meeting other people. Honestly, if you have any nerves, they will go within the first couple seconds. Yeah, just do it.
After hearing about the impact that Luella's running community has had on not only her life but all those around her, I wanted to explore what other options are out there. I came across the Great Friendship Project, who are campaigning and raising awareness about loneliness, as well as hosting many activities across London for people to make friends. I went to one of their board games nights hosted right near Waterloo to speak with the project's founder, David Graydon, on its impact and his own experience with loneliness.
So I set up the project really on the back of my own experiences, some of my frustrations of how hard it is to make friends as an adult. Coming out of lockdown, I was experiencing, probably for the first time in my life, feeling really a real sense of loneliness. I wanted to find a low-cost way where personally I could rebuild my own social circle. It's simply a way for young people to meet new people, fostering friendships, but also to see those same people regularly enough that it will form the foundations of a new friendship. So the board games, everyone comes alone, and what we'll do is we will welcome them, we'll try to help them find a table. We have a range of recommendations that we have of like the games. We have about 100 board games in total. We have quite a few people who know some of the games before, so that makes our lives super easy because people can be their own like little mini games master on their table. Everyone over the evening can mix around as and when they wish. People always love it because the activity always gives them something to focus on, which is an incredible thing when it comes to social anxiety. Often you're trying to think of what to say next, but with the game you can just fully invest yourself and it just takes away all of that social anxiety, which can be really powerful. My understanding of loneliness is always evolving. I'm recognizing now that it's a physical health problem. We now know it's worse than smoking in terms of its impacts. It's worse than obesity. Understanding how it impacts everything from confidence to how we perceive other people. We're also constantly bombarded with social images on our phones that sort of make us think that everyone else is out there having the best possible and most amazing social life. You start to feel that you've been left behind. You feel that everyone else is more connected than you. And that fuels that sort of discontent that leads to some of these experiences of loneliness we see. Obviously, the connections that I built through the project have been transformational for me. I have been able to build the most amazing group of friends who provided so much support throughout the whole 4 years I've been doing this project. That sense of belonging that comes from that reduces that feeling of loneliness so much. When I started the project, I was looking to build connections of my own. It's been beyond my wildest dreams of where it's gone from where it started.
Whilst loneliness remains a big issue for London and the UK, social clubs are showing how a common interest can bring people together and really create meaningful friendships and relationships. For The Londoners, I'm Florence Kurtz.
Well, Flo, it's lovely to have you here to chat. What an amazing video. I'm so shocked about how many people showed up.
I know, it was so busy and everyone was chatting and mingling. It was a lovely environment.
It's lovely. So, do you think that London is a lonely city?
Ultimately, yes. I think even though London is one of the busiest cities and there's people everywhere, how often do you see people, talking to strangers, maybe on the tube, everyone's on their phone? I think it is a really lonely place, and 35% of Londoners report feeling lonely often or some of the time, which is higher than the UK average of 28%. And the age group with the highest rate of loneliness is 16 to 24-year-olds, which I think I was surprised by originally, but then it sort of started to make sense. It's when you leave school and like you either start university or you start working, and that can be quite the lonely time. And I think there are lots of reasons, as I said before, like that lack of community and people not talking on transport or, like in restaurants, and everyone just sort of keeps to themselves, as well as then pressures of social media, of course. I think like, how often do you find yourself like doom scrolling and looking at people's lives and thinking like, oh, I want to be doing that, but then you feel lonely in yourself. So
All the time.
yeah.
Flo, as a London girlie yourself, what has your experience been like making friends in the capital, and do you wish you had known about social clubs such as the Great Friendship Project sooner?
I think definitely it's a struggle. For me personally, I work at home a lot of the time, and so then that's, I think, where most people meet their friends after uni or after school, is in their workplace. And so if you don't have that, then you do really have to push yourself to go and meet people outside of work, outside of school. And so I think something like the Great Friendship Project would have helped me a lot. I feel like sometimes things feel really expensive in London, and so if you want to go and do a social activity, you sort of have to seek that, and they can cost a lot of money. Going to cafes, going to even these like solo friendship making workshops tend to cost a lot of money. So I think that's when the Great Friendship Project really comes in handy. Most of their activities are free or more affordable, lower cost, and that's something that I definitely wish I'd known about sooner. Especially like seeing how busy it is. Like lots of people are doing it. I think it's a great opportunity to meet people.
And apart from this, do you have any advice that you give to Londoners who are struggling with loneliness and trying to get out of their comfort zone?
Yeah, it's a very brave and difficult thing to do, to push yourself out of your comfort zone and go somewhere where you don't know anyone, and there's that sort of overwhelming feeling of like, what if no one likes me? What if no one talks to me? But I also asked my interviewees if they had any advice for people who are trying to make friends in London, and this is what they had to say.
I met one of my best friends and now we've been like friends for nearly 2 years. Please do it. I would encourage everyone to do it.
Go outside, face that initial friction, and after that point it becomes easier. It'll be awkward at first, starting conversations. Again, if you're used to spending most of your time on your phone, that muscle is atrophied, but eventually get used to it.
Powering through a fear is the best way of conquering it. My kind of follow-up advice would be to stick with it, even when it feels like it's not working.
Perfect. So, Flo, I think a big issue with sort of loneliness, and especially maybe younger females in London getting out and about, is sort of how safe they feel in an environment. So how safe did you feel when you visited these social clubs and projects?
You are right, it is a big concern, and but especially as a woman, it's something that you do need to think about before going to events. And I think that's one thing I loved about Luella's Run Club, was it was a female-only space, and so I think that immediately adds that feeling of familiarity and safety to clubs like that. And then the board games night, as David mentioned, it's something that people come to very often. They start to get to know people, and so I think then you start to feel a bit safer and that familiarity. And when I was there, I felt safe, but I did make sure I told people where I was going, that sort of thing. When you should do that anyway when you go on your own somewhere, let someone know that that's where you're going, where you're going to be. And so I think as long as you take those measures and make sure it's not a club that's like, that they have no reviews or they have no like evidence on social media that they're a real thing. I think just taking those steps to feel safe and supported and held. Definitely.
Cool. Thank you so much for joining us. It was lovely to discuss loneliness in London with you. Up next, if you've got a curly hair, you might want to stay tuned. Our reporter Sarah is set out to understand how important it is to have specialised hair salons that cater to specific hair types.
with curly hair in London have struggled to find a salon that meets their needs. In November, I went to the heart of Deptford where I visited one curly hair salon, Curl Power by Elaine, where I got to see the rise and the trend of people starting to embrace their natural hair. I got to see what she does, how she does it, and what it means to people in Deptford and other areas, and how people can start embracing their natural hair more. Walking into Elaine's salon felt instantly welcoming for anyone with curly hair. Every product and every tool is chosen specifically to care for, shape, and celebrate curls, making every client feel understood.
My name's Elaine and I run Curl Power, and it's just all about empowering people to wear their curly hair or wavy hair or however their texture is, and just to embrace it and to be able to learn all of the tricks that comes with it, because it's all good the hairdresser giving you a nice haircut and styling, but to go home and do it yourself, that's my main goal. I trained as a hairdresser almost 20 years ago and learned with someone who specialised in working with the nature of the hair. And so I learnt with him, and then when COVID happened, I ended up really getting involved with curly hair and just getting really excited by it, and saw there was like a big push for people wanting to wear their hair more natural. So yeah, just kept on pushing, doing extra courses. So it's all about longevity. I want my haircuts to last you a long time so that you don't have to keep coming back, because what happens in like a standard salon is they work it so they texturize it, and with curly hair that really doesn't work. So it's all about keeping it nice and strong, using the right products, and knowing that you're going to be able to achieve this when you get home. So I have lots of different products, ranging from really heavy products that would be for maybe like afro hair that really wants to be like weighed down, and then you've got hair that's finer, and it could be a looser wave like mine, and so you need to use a lighter product. My favourites at the moment is I'm really liking the Hydro Flexi Jelly by Curlsmith. And then I'm loving it mixed with the Only Curls Mousse. That's for finer hair. And then if you wanted like a heavier product, I'm really loving the Curl Jar at the moment. And that can work for all hair types. So if you wanted to wear your hair straight, or if you wanted to wear your hair curly, it works. That's what nature gave you. What's the point in fighting something? This was something I always got trained with my teacher, that the hair will do what it wants. So let's like appreciate what we have, because when we're old, we're not going to have as much beautiful hair. So let's enjoy it for when we have it now. So I would say top thing, silky pillowcase would be very good. Not using a normal towel, just use a microfiber towel or a t-shirt. So that one's quite easy one that you don't even have to spend money on, because I'm sure you have lots of t-shirts at home. So I do haircuts and styling, and like I said about the filming, I don't colour at the moment, but there will be someone coming soon to colour hair. But it's just all about like learning how to do your own hair at home. So we'll go over things, making sure that you've understood what I've done for you and how you can reproduce this in maybe even a quicker method at home. So I would say with the whole doing a curl by curl on looser waved hair, I personally would rather do it wet and then fine tune it at the end, in my personal taste, but there is a lot of different ways from get to A to B. So this can be sometimes a thing when people come and they expect it to be done dry, but I would say that would be more suited for type 3 and above, because it's when your hair loosens up, it's not going to be how it is when it's cut curl by curl. So I personally, for my taste and for what my clients like, that's been the best. Oh, volume.
Is there a reason why?
Because I didn't get any. We always want what we haven't got.
My name is Chelsea Brooks. I'm an event manager. I live in London, and excited to get my curly haircut. My hair type, I think it's 3B. Managing it is quite hard. It takes a lot of work, a lot of effort to make it look good. Long washes, shampooing, double conditioning, drying with the diffuser, lots of different curly products. Definitely important to have independent curly hair salons. I've been to like chains before and they just don't know how to cut curly hair. So I really wanted to find a curly hair specialist, and I'm glad I have, because they know exactly what to do with curly hair. They know your hair type, they've got experience. Probably like everyone with curly hair, I used to straighten my hair Back in like my 20s, I used to straighten it all the time because I thought that made it look nicer or I looked more professional. But now, growing up, becoming, work in the working world, I realise now my hair is perfect as it is. I like it curly and I just try and work with it how it is.
After Chelsea had her one-on-one consultation with Elaine about wanting more definition and volume, her hair was washed, cut wet and then styled curl by using a curl brush to separate the curls and give more volume, as well as curl gel products. Elaine separated the curls after diffusing, as well as doing a quick trim just to ensure that it gave that full, bouncy and voluminous result that really brought her curls to life.
Yeah, I love my hair. It looks so good. It looks really healthy and it's exactly what I wanted. But yeah, the experience was really good. I learned a lot. I was comfortable and really relaxed. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Sarah, thank you for that. It was so interesting to see how her hair transformed and what she thought of it. But how was your experience at Elaine's salon? And please inform me on the different hair types.
So going there, I felt very welcomed. It was very warm because everything there's catered to people with curly hair, from all the products to the styling brushes, the diffusers, and it felt really homely just because it was in a place she rented. It's not an actual salon and it's just her, so when you go there it's one-on-one, so it feels more inviting. And regarding hair types, everyone has a different hair type, including you guys. So with people with straight hair, they are in the category of 1A to 1C, which is defined as just straight hair. Then as you start to move to 2A to 2C, it becomes wavy. 2A is just like starting at the wave, and then it becomes more defined as you go on. 3A to 3C, 3A is what I have, and it's loose curls. And then as it goes to 3B, 3C, it gets way tighter. But then 4A to 4C becomes different because that's known as Afro hair, quite coily textured hair. Yeah.
This is so interesting. Why did you decide to focus on curly hair rather than all the other hair types?
I think it's a personal experience because growing up with really curly hair, I just didn't feel like I belonged anywhere with other people having straight hair, and I just felt more inclined to straighten my hair, always slick it back. And it's not just my experience, but most people with curly hair, or I must say everyone, even though I don't know everyone, they have like a personal bad experience with curly hair, just as it being seen as not good looking, too big, too poofy, not professional, and it just plays into beauty standards.
And why do you think it's so important to have independent hair salons like this for girls like you?
Because even though most salons will know basics, it's important to have someone who knows everything. They need to know what products to use. They need to have special techniques on how to dry your hair, how to cut your hair, because cutting my hair and washing it won't be the same as you guys. So it's important for someone to have that secondary knowledge, and it makes you feel more confident to go there. You're not going to be scared if someone cuts your hair, it's going to go up too much, or if they dry it, you might get heat damage, or they don't know how to style it properly. So your hair will just become quite frizzy and big, and it won't be defined and good as you want it to be.
I don't know about you, Ella, but I've always really wanted curly hair.
I have too.
I think different hair types are like the opposite. You want straight hair, I want curly hair. I can't win. But in terms of qualifications, what qualifications do hairdressers need to work with curly hair?
So from 2021, the National Occupational Standards said that all hairdressers must complete basic training in Afro and textured hair as part of their qualifications, and this includes knowing how to wash it, because it's not just you go and wash curly hair with just one shampoo and one conditioner. There's special techniques on how you cleanse your hair so there's no product build-up. And as well with cutting, you can't just cut it straight like this. If you did it to my hair, it would just go up like that and it wouldn't look good. So they need to have basic knowledge in that training. But then on the other side with curl specialists, there's no actual legal requirement, but most of them will have knowledge just on how their hair is themselves, training with other people with curly hair and specializing in other haircuts that are suited for curly hair, like the Diva cut, which is just a cut that is basically formulated for curly hair, and how to get layers so it looks equal.
And with these basic qualifications, does that mean the majority of hair salons know how to cater to curly hair?
I mean, I would like to think so, but I guess just because they know how to cater to some hair type doesn't mean they know how to cater to all hair types. as I said before with the with the hair types, maybe a hairdresser might know how to do my hair because it's a looser curl in regards to someone else with a tighter, coily hair. So it really, I think it depends where you go in London, who you go to, and what they know.
But it seems like such a long process. How much does that cost?
It actually ranges, but with Elaine, because I went on her website, I saw that it depends on your length first of all. If your hair's past your shoulders, it costs around £120 just to wash and cut and style it. So I think majority of hairstylists put that price range there, so 100 and more.
Okay.
And the products she uses, obviously you showed a lot in your video. How accessible are they in sort of the wider London scope, like just buying them in day-to-day shops instead of going to salons specifically?
So if we compare it now to when I was growing up, I don't think that there was many curly products. I mean, you would walk in and there's not really anything you can use. I mean, most people just used to use olive oil just to help with conditioning their hair. But now as we progress, way more shops like Boots, Superdrug, and just like other hair shops, they do now range and stock up a lot of curly hair products. So I think it's becoming more accessible, but everyone needs to be careful because you need to check if it's not counterfeit. And yeah.
What do you have here for us?
So these are known as mousses, and this is in a curly hair routine, which is to give you volume. So our other journalist, Malia, kindly handed this to me, and this is a mousse, and I wanted to talk about different hair porosities. So excluding hair types, everyone has a hair porosity. Low hair porosity means your cuticles are more closed, so water takes really long to absorb the same with product. But the good thing is the moisture stays really quick and it's harder to get out of. High porosity hair means the cuticles are more open, so water absorbs very quickly, but at the same time it's harder to really absorb it as well because it just leaves as quickly. So Malia has high porosity hair and she ranges between afro hair. And with this one, it's more stickier, which is better for her hair. You just add it and it's way more stickier. And if I was to put this in my hair, it just wouldn't be as good because it's too sticky and it's got really condensing ingredients like honey. This is the one that I use, and this is more water-based. And it's more lighter and it's better for my hair because I have low porosity. And as you can see, it's just more foamy and watery.
It spreads more evenly.
Exactly.
Did you both buy these from individual salons?
Yeah, so I bought this from Superdrug.
It smells lovely.
I know, this is very oily. This was around £15, and Malia has her little price tag on here, $14.99. So they're quite expensive, but they last you a while. And as you see, Malia's one is already drying up and it's getting sticky. I put this in my hair, it's really not going to do anything. But with mine, it's way more easier to absorb it just because of how lightweight it is.
Gorgeous. So, I learned so much
Honestly,
from that video.
I feel like I need to do some research. What if my shampoo's not working? I don't know.
You guys just need to figure out your hair porosity, and then you can cater yourself to different products.
You can help us later after the
Yeah,
show.
we're going to get onto you for that. But thank you so much for that insight, Sarah, and I'm looking forward to hearing this morning's news.
What do you have for us today?
So in news today, Kemi Badenoch has sacked her shadow cabinet, Robert Jenrick, as well as expelling him from the Conservative Party. And this is after she was realising he was plotting to join the Reform Party.
Oh God, how did she learn about that?
She doesn't explicitly say, but she says that she saw clear evidence that he was plotting, in her own words, to join the Reform Party. And she described it in a way.
Scandals.
She described it in a way designed to be as damaging as possible to her party. She stated that she will not be participating in political drama, as well as not repeating the same mistakes as the last government made.
Has Nigel Farage responded to these claims of Jenrick possibly joining Reform?
Possibly. Yeah, he has responded. So he said that he's surprised by this, but he will not comment on whether they've had the individual conversation just because of privacy reasons. But he has said that he has spoken to other Conservative MPs, and he believes that more Conservative MPs are going to be leaving the party.
Oh God. Guess we'll see.
What do you have next?
So also there have been 60,000 signatures reached in London against any changes to the older person's freedom pass.
What is the older person's freedom pass?
So it's a travel card that allows those aged 66 and over free travel. This allows free travel on the TfL, which includes buses, overground, DLR, trams, the Elizabeth line and most of the National Rail services.
Who started the petition?
Because at the start of the year, London councils planned to carry out a review of this. It was because it was costing them almost 336 million. So they described that as a really big strain on the economy. Yeah.
What were they planning to do in this review?
They were aiming to limit the free travel to those using it. But additionally today, the Labour Council has blocked any proposed review. So for now, there is no scrapping and there's no limiting the use of the Freedom Pass.
That's good. Yeah, I like to hear that.
Yeah. So coming into the office today, have you guys noticed how bad the weather is?
Yes, non-stop all day.
It's pouring all day. The train was just very wet and slippery. And it comes as no surprise as there has been a yellow weather warning issued from the Met Office. They've described it as heavy and persistent rain, along with strong winds, which may lead to some flooding in some areas across the UK, and particularly London.
Oh no.
I do quite like it going to sleep with the rain though.
Going to sleep, yeah, but not while we're commuting,
No,
Mackenzie.
not in the
I don't
commute.
want it on
As
the
long as you
road.
guys do not have plans for the coming days, forecasters have warned of travel disruption, flooding of roads and possible power cuts. And then there is expected to be around 20 to 30 milliliter of rain.
Oh, no. Well, we're in for a wet
Get your
weekend.
wellies out, Ella. Get them out.
Need to put them out.
Thank you for that, Sarah. Up next, Ella, my co-host, will be explaining the impact of the film I Swear that has had for Tourette's in the UK.
Where I Swear, a new British film, is shining a light on what life is really like for people living with Tourette's.
Morning, John. Late again.
Traffic was terrible.
John, I need to take you shopping after football. I'm starting big school in 2 weeks.
I dream of a lady in body. A tale that she...
Get lost! Look at him! Fucking rabbit! John! Fucking shite! Can't help it! I was ashamed today!
We're going to get you better.
It's a story that's already sparking conversations around awareness and understanding. And what I want to know is, does it really change public perception? Or is it oversimplifying what's already widely misunderstood?
It's really sad. The first thing that struck me was how sad it was, but also obviously there was moments of humour. But I think it was more what somebody with Tourette's must go through. It must be so difficult, and it's a really difficult life, and it must be quite draining. So I think it's really taught me that just to be more accepting of people, to understand that, you know, things might not be necessarily what they look like.
Johnny D!
It's called Tourette syndrome. Say things that I shouldn't. What can you do?
Do you want to come in for something to eat, John? Oh, fuck off, you wanker.
Well, it's nice to meet you too.
Sorry.
I'm going to speak to people living with Tourette's and those working to raise awareness to see what difference this film might really make.
Watching I Swear, I didn't actually watch I Swear. I was worried that watching it, especially in like a public environment, would make my tics a lot worse. But I do want to watch it, but probably just in like at home in my own environment.
So when I went to watch I Swear, when Colvin first got diagnosed with Tourette's, it was at a time very similar in that kind of timing when nobody really knew very much about it. So I was really intrigued. Thoroughly enjoyed the movie. I found some parts really funny that we could laugh at because we know we've been there. Other parts where I felt quite guilty about looking back at the way that we dealt with things with Calvin before we realised what Tourette's was, because or he's saying, no, I know it's not that, I know it's not that. And then we didn't know how to deal with it, because sometimes he would just sit quietly when he was playing his games, and in front of the TV, he'd be sitting quietly playing his games, and yet if I watched TV with him, he'd be like constantly jumping around while you're watching TV, and so we never really understood it. We were quite hard on him at times, so it brought a lot of guilt out as well, and I guess at times made me feel quite uncomfortable, reminding us, looking back on how we dealt with the situation before we realised what we were dealing with. Yeah, it just brought out every emotion, but I'm really glad that they've put this movie out so that other people understand it and make it more acceptable for people not to feel uncomfortable with it.
I think one of the big ones is people don't realise that Tourette's isn't just swearing. As another, I used to get a lot back when I told people I had Tourette's. They'd be like, well, you don't swear, I don't believe you. And there is also that some people also do just think it's fake as well. I guess there's a lot more awareness of it now. Which is good, I think, but there are some, obviously, a lot of people that don't understand the actual intricacies of it, which is understandable. And the thing is, it's such a hard thing to explain as well. Why do you need the air? It's just you can't really explain that. It's not like oh, I'm sick. I've got my arm hurts or something. I just do it because it's hard to explain. But I think if people had a better understanding that it wasn't all just swearing, and sometimes you don't necessarily see a lot of it as well. There's a lot of stuff I do, like tensing muscles and stuff like that people won't see, but it has an effect on my day-to-day life, and it's tiring. And that stress is a big impactor on it. That's something else people don't really seem to know that much about.
To learn more, I spoke to Ione from the Tourette's Action Charity, one of the UK's leading organisations supporting people with Tourette's syndrome and their families.
So since the movie's release, we've definitely sort of seen a shift in public awareness, or certainly a positive response from the public. Personally, lots of people that I know and that I don't have kind of sought me out and said, oh my God, have you seen this movie? And it's really important for us as a charity, but also in kind of bringing the conversation around a condition into the public eye. A movie like I Swear, that has been so well received and has been so popular, can just bridge that gap with a condition that's so misunderstood, so stigmatized, so misrepresented, and historically has kind of not necessarily been shown in a particularly ethical or balanced way on our screens. And I think I Swear has gone a really long way in shifting that, because Tourette's isn't rare. It impacts 300,000 people in the UK. So if we don't understand the reality of it, we're definitely doing something wrong. And so having it in the movies in that way can be such a nice palatable way for people to sort of start to understand the condition a little bit more. And we hope that then spurs on a drive and a motivation to do some more research and some more learning, which we as a charity at Tourette's Action can certainly sort of support and facilitate.
It's clear that I Swear has opened up an important conversation, not just about Tourette's, but about empathy. And while there's still progress to make, this seems like a real step forward. I'm Ella McIntyre for The Londoners.
Hello, Ella. Thank you for joining me on the other side of the sofa.
No worries.
It was such an amazing experience to watch your video about I Swear and just more awareness about Tourette's syndrome, but you really never see anything about it.
No, you don't. It's so rare.
But I hadn't even thought, right, oh, that's rare.
Yeah.
I literally just hadn't thought. So why did you choose to do your video on I Swear and Tourette's syndrome?
So when I heard about the movie I Swear, I was immediately intrigued. It's a British story. It's about John Davidson. He was a boy in the 80s when he was a bit younger. He was one of the first sort of advocates for Tourette's in the UK. There was a little BBC documentary that they made in 1989 called John's Not Mad, and it was all about his life, his mum, his struggles, and it was the first thing that us Brits as a society saw about Tourette's. I mean, I went to see the film with my mum, and at the end of the movie, they played clips from this doc. And my mum sat there and went, "Oh my God, I remember that boy." So she sat through the whole movie, and only afterwards she made the connection. So it's amazing how it's gone from back then to now, how many years later, 30, 40 years later, he's now telling his story in the cinema, in the big screen. And honestly, the film is so touching. Like, I think it did things that the documentary just couldn't. I mean, the way they portrayed John's life from being a young boy to an adult was just amazing. And honestly, highs, lows, it was such a roller coaster of emotions. I've got a clip for you of John in the 80s that you can see just now.
Tourette's syndrome is quite rare and is seldom as intense as John's, varying from small involuntary tics and obsessions to what the scientists call full-blown Tourette's, like this.
Fuck off! I wonder what on earth you were doing shouting at her like that.
But if you didn't know about John, what would you think as he passed you in the street?
Hey, fuck!
So yeah, that was him and his real life story, and that was his mum, who's also portrayed in the film.
That's so crazy. And I also heard a little birdie told me he just got nominated for a BAFTA.
He did, and it's very well deserved. The way he portrayed Tourette's was so accurate. He did John a real service.
Good. I will be watching.
Good.
After this. And what stood out to you the most about how Tourette's is portrayed in the media currently?
Well, as you said, you don't really see it portrayed much, and there are so many old narratives. I mean, from my experience, all I've seen in TV is from, do you remember The Undateables?
Yes.
From when we were a bit younger. I remember that is the only representation I've seen of Tourette's on TV, and it was just of people swearing really loudly, you know, all this profanity. And that is a big misconception about Tourette's, that it's a swearing disorder and like a swearing disease, some people like to call it. But that's so wrong, and it's so far from the truth about the range that Tourette's and tics can really go. We need more real narratives in the media, like John's story. Like, people need to come forward. Like, we see so many neurodiverse disorders portrayed on TV, but we don't see much of Tourette's, so we need some real news stories.
Agreed. And how do you think the film has impacted families and individuals that live with Tourette's?
Well, I think it's made a real difference for families, because at the end of the film, you see a device called New Pulse, which was sort of made a few years ago, but it's only started getting traction recently by like more research, more medical research. Now this device, New Pulse, it costs £500 and it's accompanied by a £20 monthly subscription. But what the device does, it's a watch that sends shockwaves through your veins, through your blood, and it changes your brain chemistry, and it helps your tics. And in the film, John goes to Nottingham Trent University where they were studying it. He tries on the device. For his whole life, he always suffered with Tourette's. As soon as he put this device on, it immediately silenced his mind. It was his first moment of calm since he was a teenager. So he walked around the library and he was silent as a mouse. And it was so touching. And Kelvin, from my video, his family have also researched it, and they've pre-ordered New Pulse for Kelvin. So hopefully Kelvin can also have some peace. So they didn't know about this device until they saw the film. So it's teaching everyone.
Yeah, for sure. I think Parkinson's have a very similar thing, don't they? Stop
With
tremors.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing what science is doing.
It is.
And what were the main things Tourette's Action Charity wanted the public to take away from this film and your reporting?
Yeah, so when I spoke to Ione, she really wanted people to just be more considerate and more patient, because people with Tourette's have to struggle every day, not just physically, but also mentally. As Calvin said, it's a lot of stress on them to cope in society. There's a website for I Swear, which offers school resources to download, as well as books that you can read and share, just to get more up to date with Tourette's. And there's also ways you can get involved, such as volunteering or donating to the charity. Tourette'sAction.org as well. They have so many resources to understand Tourette's. They have links to the movie, links to the charity. But yeah, there's a donate section there. You can call up and you can offer to volunteer.
Gorgeous. And what do you think still needs to change in terms of representation or awareness of neurodivergent communities?
It definitely needs to move beyond your regular stereotypes, like sensationalizing tics and turning neurodiverse people into like inspirational symbols. We need to know there are 300,000 people in the UK with Tourette's, so it's not that rare. It's not. It's quite a big proportion. So we need everyday lived experiences so people know that, you know, this isn't something rare, as you said.
Sure.
But awareness is growing and we know that, but understanding and acceptance still needs to just catch up with that little bit, and that's hopefully what John's story can do.
Agreed. Do you think sort of schools should teach more about neurodivergent communities?
Definitely, and we're seeing more of that in PSHE lessons as well. So yeah,
this is good. Well, thank you so much for sharing such an important topic with me, and I can't wait to watch as well.
You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. But
I'm
up
sure I will.
next, Tia is going to tell us about hybrid shops making their way through our city.
Vintage to find out all about the inspiration behind the store and about the community it's created. First, I'll be talking to Hannah, its founder.
So Paper Dress opened in 2007 as a vintage clothing shop. We had two pretty good years. The economic climate then really dropped at the end of 2008. And that was when we started to really struggle to pay the rent, to pay the bills. Retail was really suffering. And so we started to do parties. So we kind of do temporary events and have music bands in the window, sell beer cans out of a big kind of black bin, and do these slightly kind of house party vibe evenings within the shop. I think we get a lot of people that kind of come in during the day and say, oh, I've only been here when I've been drunk, or, you know, I've only been here at night. Sometimes I think we get discovered for the music. People follow their favourite bands and they come and see somebody that they want to see here, and then they realise the clothing's on the wall and it's a vintage shop, and they'll come back on another day and have a look. And equally, people stumble across us because they're looking for something vintage. They come in during the day and they see the venue upstairs and they go, oh great, I'll check out. We have calendars, we print out calendars for all of the evening events that we do, so you know, we give those away to people. And again, at night, you know, people can see that it's a shop. We've got the shop window at the front, so it's kind of unique in that sense. And so I think people discover us on both angles, if you see what I mean. We've got a really good reputation here. Whether we're successful financially, not really. It's very difficult to make money at the moment. Retail is tough, expenses, you know, it's not designed to kind of support small businesses at the minute. So as much as we have a great lifestyle, my husband and I love what we do, we enjoy being here, but we work hard. I'd say that as a concept it does really work, and it supports each other. You know, the bar is at night, the shop is during the day. You're paying rent for one place, so you might as well optimize the hours that you can be open. But yeah, I mean, I think it is a concept that works, and I think it's successful in the fact that we've survived 18 years now through various kind of economic climate change, COVID, all these kind of different problems that everybody is facing. We're still here, so I guess I see that as a sign of success. I mean, my husband plans all the events, so he, and sometimes outside promoters do it too. Personally, we just had a Twin Peaks party, which I know is a love of yours too, and we've done a few of those in our time. People get dressed up, they kind of really, with a theme like that, people really go for it. I think it's got cult following, and it encourages people to come and get involved. The next big party that I will be attending as a consumer, as a party goer, is our ABBA party, which is celebrating our 80th birthday. Now, ABBA is totally cheesy and a tiny bit naff, but they also have some amazing hits and the fashion is fantastic. So it combines my two favourite elements of the vintage fashion and some fun, playful music. We like to create an intimate place with like-minded people. I think you asked about the audience earlier. They do definitely cross over, and some nights we have quite a youthful audience, but other nights we have a kind of refreshingly older audience too, which appeals to us and our friends. And so I think as a business, they both kind of support each other. My first passion was the vintage clothing, and we sell from the 1920s to the 1990s. So we have some really beautiful, unique, older, historic pieces in, which are really the bits that excite me, and I think kind of set us apart as a vintage shop from other, maybe more retro shops.
Next, I spoke to Michael, events manager at Paper Dress Vintage, to talk more about his role there and more about the shop.
We moved here 10 years ago. I had been working at another venue that closed down, and I came here and said, look, we can make it a proper venue where we can tie all these things in together. So we do music from basically anything from 1920s jazz, sort of 40s pre-rockabilly kind of stuff, 50s rock and roll, 60s psych nights. Like I say, we because we do a lot of sort of vintage nights, people do come in and they'll come in to get dressed for the evening. It crosses over in both directions, where people who've come in just to do vintage shopping then find out that we're a venue, and they'll come to the gigs, and the other way around as well, where people just come in for the gigs and then go, oh, it actually is a vintage shop, and then they'll be back, the following day buying stuff. It's a nice little secret place, this, where because the front of the venue is a vintage clothes shop. If people come in and see what it is that we're doing, and then feel safe, they'll tell their friends. We're very much about word of mouth here, where nice people tell nice people come.
Thank you, Tia. What a unique place that looks like.
Yeah. How was your experience at Paper Dress Vintage? Would you recommend me going?
I would definitely recommend people give it a try and go there, because it's really unique and fun, and I had a really nice time there. Everyone was so inviting and nice to me and super friendly. There's a really good environment there and unique.
Lovely. What drew you to there? Have you ever been before?
I haven't been before, but my friend went, which is how I found out about it. And I thought it was really unique and different. It's definitely for people who love vintage stuff, retro stuff, combined with the kind of bar and club element where they have gigs and stuff. I just thought that was super cool, and I thought I want to check this out. This seems like my kind of place, especially where they have little Twin Peaks stuff going on.
Yeah. It seems like such a unique business, something just a regular business model would never dream of doing. So how would you say they manage everything from the shop to the arranging of the artists?
I'd say both elements of the business are very combined. When you go on their social media, they're both advertised together. So you see a lot of posts to do with the vintage shop and all of that stuff, and then it's kind of combined with and that night we transform into this place, and you see the bar and all the gigs and the concerts and stuff, and they just kind of combine it together really. And also when people go to the vintage shop, they kind of end up realizing, oh, it's actually also this. Or when they go there initially as the bar or a club or whatever, then they realize, oh, it's also a vintage shop, because they enter it and it's what you see immediately, and it kind of just clicks when you go there.
Now, did they do this business idea? Was it to make more money and keep afloat financially?
I would say that businesses are kind of utilizing their space a lot more to keep afloat, but also just to be interesting. In terms of Paper Dress Vintage, she said retail was struggling as an industry, and that's kind of why they combine these elements together. And off camera, you Michael mentioned that they do other stuff. They have a hair salon and a yoga thing next door, which is super cool. But it is ultimately because they're struggling, and I think they also mentioned they only have an hour where the shop is actually closed. But in terms of other businesses doing it, I think
a really popular example would be Waterstones, because they have like the cafes in the bookshop, and they also have a vinyl shop in Gower Street, Waterstones, as well as like bars in Tottenham Court Road and like Piccadilly. So it just kind of like gives you more to do as like a consumer, and also like more places to like you get attracted to more things. And like there's other examples like Cafe 1001, which is like a cafe by day, and then like kind of like a vinyl bar by night. And then also like Bread and Butter, which is like a cafe by day, and then again during the evening the space is transformed. So it kind of just draws a lot more people in. I think it helps financially, and it also helps to like have that unique selling point.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. And so with these unique selling points, how do you think the use of what could be one place being used as multiple things is helping to draw different sorts of communities together? Yeah, definitely. I think in terms of paper dress vintage, it's like you have the aspect where it's like very vintage, very niche, and like 20s and 30s and whatever, and like they source that like a lot, and that kind of draws people in for that and creates a community around like fashion. But as well as the fashion, it kind of gets combined then with the music element to it, because like people get drawn in by that, and they even said like people come into the shop, they get dressed for their events, like people would buy clothes for their house party or their Twin Peaks party in the store, and then they go there. And it's just sort of like this, you can see there's like this very friendly community like being created where like paper dress is the place to go to like see this thing, this and that, if their favorite bands are playing there or whatever, and just like kind of that overall. And like when I went there, it seemed like they kind of knew all each other, and like it just seemed really nice, like a nice community. Cute. Thank you so much, Tia. I mean, I don't know about you, but I might have to check the paper dress out. It's such a cool space. It's like one of those corner shops that's got like everything in it.
Exactly.
It's such a find.
Definitely.
Coming up on this morning's show, we've got Flo and Tia bringing us all the entertainment, so be sure to stay tuned. Hello guys.
Hi.
What entertainment do you have to share with us today?
So to start off, as I'm sure you are all aware, because Ella mentioned earlier, the Golden Globes took place recently on the 12th of January, and it was a very notable evening, to say the least. The talk of the town were definitely actors Hudson Williams and Connor Story, who are the stars of Heated Rivalry. Very good show. But this was their first Golden Globes, actually, and I think Hudson Williams was the most hashtagged actor of the night, which is quite a feat.
I did see his glam bob of
yeah. Definitely a talking point.
Well, let's recap some of the most memorable moments. One battle after another took home a notable amount of awards, as well as the limited series Adolescence, with young actor Owen Cooper being named as Best Supporting Actor in a Television Series.
This win actually made Owen Cooper the youngest ever recipient of this award, which he's just aged 16, so he's having quite the generational run. I think he's already picked up 2 or 3 awards for his role in Adolescence, so this is definitely a major point in his career.
It's pretty good for him.
Yeah.
Chloe Zhao's Hamlet also won Best Film in the Drama category, and Paul Thomas Anderson's won that for another one in the Best Musical or Comedy Film category.
It was definitely a memorable night and made me even more excited for this year's Academy Awards. What about you guys? Will you be watching?
Of course.
Yeah.
And for anyone who wants to go to the cinema over the next few weeks, there are some upcoming releases you can look forward to, such as Hamlet and 28 Years Later, Bone Temple. They're both currently in cinemas right now.
And then some films that are coming out soon include the very anticipated Wuthering Heights, Rental Family, The History of Sound, and Is This Thing On? I'm personally very excited to see Wuthering Heights on the big screen. What about you guys? Just a preference?
I can't wait. I mean, I've seen some of the fashion choices, which it kind of stunned me at first, but I can't wait to see where they go directorially.
Yeah. See it all unfold on the screen.
I think Wuthering Heights will be like an interesting watch considering the changes made from the book. I'm personally looking forward to another adaptation of Frankenstein, The Bride. Actually, Maggie Gyllenhaal is the director of that. Jake Gyllenhaal's sister.
Oh,
Love this.
In other news, the Momo nominations were also announced today, with Olivia Dean and Little Sims topping the nominations.
Other notable artists from also the nominations include Pink Panther, Skepta, and Central C. And these awards will be taking place this year on March 26th at the Curve Live Arena in Manchester.
Perfect. That's all we have for you today in entertainment.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Next up, Mackenzie, you're going to be moving over there to give us the lowdown on how horticulture could be the answer to British sheep farmers' worries.
Maybe.
500 million plastic plant pots are thrown away in the UK, and with 92% of local councils refusing to collect them as part of curbside recycling, this begs the question, why are eco-enthusiasts okay with this scale of waste and pollution, and what alternatives are out there? To understand this further, I visited the Isle of Wight's British wool rep, Stephen Burden.
I was born into farming like most people. I'm very lucky to live where we are. 6th generation here. I'd just like to keep it going and hand it on to the next generation in better stead than, you always try and do something a bit better. People are struggling, but it's a way of life. It's been quite down for quite a few years, and it would be nice to cover your costs and a bit more. They don't ask for a lot. Everybody wants a little bit more. More companies like Wool Pots is brilliant for the wool board, British sheep farmers, and the more wool that can be used, especially in this country, and produced in this country, the better it will be for our price as well in the end.
So, Graham.
Hello.
Lovely to sit down with you. Just tell me about the oranges and wool pots. How did that come about?
It came about because I have a friend who's a lady farmer, and I went down to visit her. She shears her sheep. It costs her £1.50 a sheep to shear, but the amount of money that they get offered for the fleeces is so small, it's not actually worth her taking the fleeces to the collection depot.
Mm-hmm.
So I said to her, what do you do with your wool? And she said, I just put it in the field and burn it. And I'm like,
that's not right.
not happy with that.
No.
And at the same time as this was happening, I read an article that said 500 million plastic plant pots are sent to landfill in the UK every year, and then another 500 million go to incineration, and because they're burnt and that generates electricity, that's considered recycling. And then even more worrying in a way, 300 million just disappear into people's garden sheds every year.
Yeah.
So it's that 1.3 billion.
We've all got a hoarding man.
Yeah, the sheds of shame, So 1.3 billion plastic plant pots are created are used in the UK every year, and they're only used once. Most potting machines work on the same basis. You've got a great big hopper full of compost, a conveyor belt, and then you've got this huge great tube of plastic pots that come in.
Right.
And this machine is calibrated to this particular pot. So we worked out, could we use wool pots? And you've seen wool pots. They are not rigid, so they wouldn't work on existing machines. So we had to find a way to use wool pots in an industrial potting machine, which we have done now.
You've done?
Yeah. So I can't tell you any more than that.
That's exciting.
But we have found a solution for the automated potting, which is really exciting. So, well, we like to think we've come up with a really good solution.
Great solution.
And it's entirely natural. They are still a bit sheepy.
They are still a little bit sheepy.
We only use British wool because we want to help British farmers. We can say with our hand on the heart, all the wool we use is British wool.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big statement. There are some other benefits of using wool pots. Because of the knit, it allows more oxygen through to the roots, and that promotes a stronger root growth. It gives you a stronger plant growth. You leave a gap between the wool pots as well, so when the roots get to the side, they go, there's nothing there, so they naturally go down. So it's air pruning, so they naturally air prune. You put the whole wool pot in the ground, straight into the ground, so there's no root disturbance, but you leave the collar just proud of the soil, because wool is a natural slug and snail deterrent. So that will, it's not 100%, but we do know that it does deter slugs and snails from eating your plants. And after 6-7 weeks in the soil, this wool pot just disintegrates, and all the nutrients that's in the wool feeds the plant. See, plastic has only been around for a really short period of time, but the damage it's done is massive. We like to do growing trials, growing projects with schools, with kids, because kids are brutally honest. They're savage. Savagely honest. And so we're like, right, I went into the school to do a growing trial, and we said to the kids, all right, kids, do you know where your food comes from? And one of the kids was like, yeah, the fridge, literally. And we're like,
it's like cloudy with a chance of meatballs in there.
We were really concerned that quite a lot of children have no idea where their food comes from. They have no idea what's involved in the process of growing their food. We've got to do something for the gardeners of the future. So we created an education pack.
Allotment lovers.
Well, I mean, allotments used to be a really major way of growing food for your family. So we've introduced a physical education kit, and in the box is 100 wool pots, and you get 100 plant markers, because of course kids would go, that's my sunflower, that's my plant, my tomatoes. So you have to write so you have to write your name on it and to stick it in. And we've got seeds in there and pencils, but also we've got a whole term's worth of lesson plans. And that lesson plan explains basically everything you need to know about growing and planting and why we do it. So I wrote all the lesson plans. All schools have to have a climate action plan, and a lot of schools we spoke to have no idea what a climate action plan is or should be or could be. So we've created this with the climate action plan in mind, but also teaching kids at a really basic level about planting and what's involved and why it's important. So we have had input from educational specialists and teachers. We want it to be a tangible, practical experience, certainly at the younger end, which is why we have a whole lot of different lesson plans. So you can do the really young stuff, or you can do the slightly older age range. When you say to kids, all right, I want you to go in the garden and get dirty, they're like, where do we sign?
This remains a relevant issue across the UK, but with climate action plans and wool pots being introduced, I'm excited to see what the future holds. For the Londoners, I'm Mackenzie Whitaker.
Mackenzie, what a lovely video. That dog, I couldn't take my eyes off it.
She is so cute. Wow, Pepper was a little cute. Made my day.
Love that. So these wool pots, how did you come to learn about them? It's such a cool brand, but definitely something I haven't heard of.
I honestly, TikTok doom scrolling is where I find a lot of my inspo. And it always provides with good stuff. And I'm pretty sure Graham's daughter runs Wool Pot's social media, and she'd done like a funny she'd done a funny video
A
about
little bit.
how his business partner called Tom is Woolpot's eye candy, and it made me laugh. And I was like, what actually is Woolpot's though? So I got really invested in the whole thing, and then did a bit more research and was like, oh my gosh, like this is such a great idea that they've had, and yeah, something I'd never even thought of like being such an issue.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah,
Always great source. He did mention climate action plans, but what are they, and why do schools have to have them?
Yeah, so climate action plans were mandatory in schools from September 2025, although I did submit an FOI request to the Department for Education to sort of establish how many schools have set up their climate action plans, because Graham was telling me that the outlines for them are a bit sort of iffy, and a lot of teacher friends that he has just don't really know like exactly what they need to do for it. So yeah, they were meant to be mandatory in September, but the Department for Education got back to me and said they're not really, they don't have the data to tell me like how many schools actually have these plans as of right now. So I'm not too sure about its mandatoriness.
Yeah.
I don't. It seemed a bit iffy, but the action plan itself is just a plan enabling a place of education, whether it's like a nursery, like an at-home, those like at-home nurseries, people just try that kind of thing. Whether it's one of those like an A-level school, high school, college, whatever. They have sustainability initiatives, and it's set out by 4 key pillars. We've got adaptation and resilience, so just ensuring that like the surrounding area is prepared and can be a good environment to help climate change. Biodiversity and nature, which sort of outlines the efforts to protect and enhance the nature around you. I guess like playing fields and planting like a little allotment maybe. Climate education and green skills, so teaching their students how to care for the green spaces around them. And then decarbonisation and net zero, which actions to measure and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So I guess making the school or educational establishment just a bit cleaner for the environment and just reduce their waste a little bit.
Gorgeous. I hope kids can learn a bit from that. But how important is the link between sustainable farming and sustainable horticulture?
Yeah, I think definitely after obviously talking to Graham and talking to Stephen on the Isle of Wight, which I've never actually visited like a farm before really, so I was really interested to go.
I bet.
And it was just, especially like being from the Isle of Wight, I'm surrounded by farms, but I've never been. So I was so amazed to see he knew. Have you seen Clarkson's farm?
Bits and bobs.
I'm talking like this is Clarkson's farm. Like he knew all the names of his fields. It was literally just like this is this man's life, and it's so incredible to see, and it's amazing. But it's definitely really important for farmers because in 2022, it was reported that the British Wool Board was only paying roughly 30p per kilogram for like a sheep's fleece. So when farmers were like shearing season, a fleece would get 30p, which is literally nothing, considering that most farmers will get like a shearer to come in and do it for them, and that costs them £1.65 per female sheep. So it's just like, you're making literally no profit, you're at a big loss. So finding ways that we can use this wool, that it doesn't matter if it's different colours or if it's not of the best grade for like clothing and stuff, like finding ways that Graham has to use this is really important.
Yeah, very sustainable. Do you see yourself using these pots?
See, I have been a bit lucky, I've been spoiled, because the first time I visited Graham, he gave me a few wool pots.
Oh, lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me.
All different colours, different shapes and sizes.
I got some greys and I got a few white and black.
Oh,
so
really?
I feel like it just makes it more personal. Like it reminds you that these have actually like come from sheep, and it's, you know,
It's very cute, very
just
personal.
yeah. So I gifted a few of those to some people for Christmas, like my nan.
Oh, I love it.
Talking about the sheds of shame.
Yeah, of course.
Nan's definitely got one. So yeah, I gave her out for Christmas, and my lavender plants are doing great in there.
Oh, I'm so pleased.
Thank you.
I'm sure they are. Well, thank you, Mackenzie. That was very informal. I've got to check out Warpots, honestly. Graham seems like such a character. For a change of pace now, Jacine's going to tell us how the Mayor's funding for basketball is going to affect its community in London.
Booming. From estate courts to packed indoor arenas, the sport is fast becoming a powerful force for opportunity, identity and community. Long seen as an underfunded sport in the UK, basketball is now gaining renewed attention, with City Hall pledging investments into grassroots sports across the capital. The Mayor of London says these investments are about more than just medals. They're about safe spaces, positive role models, and keeping young Londoners engaged. I spoke with a few people involved in grassroots basketball communities. This is what they had to say.
My name is Marvin Ambrosius. I'm the Basketball Development Officer at the Black Prince Trust. Okay. So the Black Prince Trust is a community hub that empowers as many people from the community and from everywhere to basically have services that are basically rendered for free. We have a facility that actually charges for services as well, where you can book privately, but mainly we are here to basically be an advantage for our local communities to have sessions like football, basketball, all variation types of sports. Myself being a basketball development officer, I contribute to helping and basically bringing 15,000 hours a year of basketball to what we do. Now that comes in different funding streams, to whether that's for my basketball funding, which is basically through the Jordan brand, which gives us 15 sessions a week that we basically contribute to, where that's over more than 15 hours of basketball a week, so that works out to be that. But then we've got different areas where we've got football, we've got our health and wellbeing programs, where that's also got funding, where that's helping different demographics, where that's over 50s as well. And then what that essentially does is brings everything to a whole, where we bring the community closer, but we also find new ways of actioning and bringing and listening to everybody. Because what's important about what we do is understanding the needs of what the community wants to what they're not able to afford. You have everybody from people that are amateur to professional to NBA players. We've had, since I've been working there for 2.5 years, we've had more than 5 NBA players step through here just to train. So in the off season, like you've had Jimmy Butler, you've had Adebayo, you've had so many people come through here. But the great thing about this gym in particular is it forms a relationship with basketball that becomes forever. Many people that touch a basketball the first time here tend to continue to play basketball, what I've seen since I've been here. And that's down to relationships with the coaches, that's down to how they feel when they get here, and it's that sense of community. And plus when you get to that court, it's an unbelievable court to look at, it's beautiful. And it also is one of the biggest aspects of basketball here and bringing people together is that you get to have a structured, consistent coaching with great coaches and great staff that introduce you to the game, but players that come here, like we were just mentioning, NBA players and pros, they all come back because they also want to give back as well. Because if you start somewhere, most of those players come back to show you where you can go to. As you've seen, you've got that London NBA European game happening now, where we're going to have teams like Man City, you've got Manchester United rumoured, you've got all these people starting teams, but really, those teams should be coming from a grassroots academy. They should be coming through a pipeline, but that only happens through grassroots. So I'm hoping with that 10 million that they first pledged to go for, is I want to be able to get permission from Lambeth to basically raise the roof in the Regal. Raising that roof actually raises a lot more opportunities, not only financially, but for the game as well. Because at the moment, legally, we're not allowed to host actual league games in there because the roof isn't regulation high. So if that roof goes up, we then have a team that can actually train from here and play. We could possibly have our own Regal team. Can you imagine how many people would want to play for the Regal basketball team? It would be huge. And then on top of that as well, you'd have professional teams, you'd have professional academies, professional camps, people that want to come over from other countries doing camps here, which we have already. But even more so, we have that restriction where they want to play like bigger league games and then we can't. We would then, as a centre, be able to charge for that, financially bringing that money into what we do, but we would then funnel that right back into our core projects, which would then be leading into the basketball infrastructure and helping with grassroots to where then those players that are becoming professional, they'll be able to stay in this country rather than always looking to America.
Well, to see, London isn't a particularly big basketball city. I mean, it's more famed for football, rugby, tennis, more British sports. So please do tell us more about basketball.
Well, yeah, definitely. Basketball in the UK is a growing sport. You've got weekly 1.5 million people playing it across the UK, and London is just the hub of all sports. So naturally, everything is around London. There's a lot more facilities available, and yeah, speaking to people from the Black Prince Trust was pivotal in understanding how basketball is in the UK.
And how was it speaking to Marvin Ambrosius at the Black Prince Trust?
Yeah, definitely. Marvin was great to speak to. He was actually a Sky Sports presenter at Sky, so he had his own show, and he was very literate in the game, in the sport, and he had knowledge on everything about the Black Prince Trust, from its funding, from people who contribute, from volunteers to programs that they have on. You know, they've got like a charity where they give out to other people. So it's one of those places where it's a community as well as a sports center. So there's a lot there for people to get involved.
Gorgeous. It seems like you're really passionate and such a big basketball fan. What is your opinion on the basketball scene in London, and have you experienced any struggles?
Yeah, definitely. Growing up, I attended a lot of basketball games and scrimmages in London. Going to the Copper Box Arena was a big thing for me. So I went there for trials for the under-18s London Lions team. Didn't make it, that's why I'm sat here in front of you guys. But yeah, well, maybe there's a future in which I pursue that. But yeah, so the Copper Box Arena is obviously multi-purpose. So London Lions games are there. There's also other events that I held there, like concerts. So it's a multi-purpose arena. So Mayor Sadiq Khan has proposed a purpose-built basketball center for people who want to get involved in the sport, grassroots people, interacting with the community and just making it a solely basketball venue, because we've got them across London. We've got stadiums for football, stadiums for rugby. We don't really have a stadium for basketball. So that would be something that we would love to have. And for someone like myself, I think I would love to have. But yeah, it's not completely used just for basketball games.
Okay, and aside from the mayor, who else is investing into the sport?
Yeah, definitely. The Mayor of London has proposed an investment into basketball. He's proposed £5 million into funding for grassroots sports, but specifically towards basketball and transforming young people in London's lives through sport. He's pledged £1.4 million. So I mean, you can imagine what that can do for the sport. He's also set up the basketball task force to grow the sport, attract major basketball events, and create positive youth opportunities. But yeah.
Okay. Could you please explain a little bit further what the basketball task force is?
Yeah, definitely, Mackenzie. The basketball task force is set up by the London Mayor. Its key objectives is to obviously grow the game, grow the basketball scene, attract major basketball events. So one of the events that's going to take place this weekend is NBA London at the O2 Arena. So they brought the NBA, they paired up. It used to be in Europe, used to be in Paris. It's come back to London, which is a huge thing. But also the mayor's also proposed to create positive youth opportunities, just not promoting basketball, but also supporting it for youth to safely play it, also to create employability and overall well-being. The aims are to get a lot more people involved. So yeah.
And aside from speaking to Marvin, was there anyone else that you spoke to?
Yeah, definitely. I spoke to a member of this basketball task force. I spoke with Sam Netta. I had a phone call with him, and this is what he had to say.
I probably am a bit of a contrarian in the sense that I think funding is easy cop-out for everyone. to explain why basketball is not where it is. If we can say that we haven't got enough money, then no one's got actually any excuse to really work hard at it, because our hands are always tied behind our back. But I think it's a convenient excuse. I think that actually, if you look at the head count of the federations, how much funding the federation gets in England compared to other European countries, I'd actually argue we're probably not underfunded in comparison to other European nations. I would guess that we probably have one of the biggest head counts of any federation in Europe in terms of the number of staff we have. So, it's definitely not a case of being short of funding. I think the argument is that the money that we do have is being spent in the wrong places. And then we struggle with not having strong leadership to act as a facilitator and an enabler for the people that are working on the ground to help grow the game. I don't think funding is the biggest barrier that is holding back the sport. I've seen plenty of examples over the last few years of money that we've received, and it just hasn't been spent in a way that helps secure the future of the sport. In the run up to the 2012 Olympics, and after the 2012 Olympics, the BBF had over £20 million in funding. What is there to show for that? Not a lot, apart from a few memories at the Olympics. There is, yes, the sport needs more money, but it also needs the money that comes into the sport to be spent in the right way.
I mean, that's quite a negative discussion. Is there anything optimistic?
Yeah, definitely. Speaking to Sam, I mean, he was quite negative, but I think obviously we heard he's quite a contrarian. I think he probably sees the sport for what it is. And him being with HoopFix, he's been with them for quite a while, and he's seen the game expand throughout the UK. The optimism is that there's a lot more youth getting involved in basketball. I think now, compared to how it was probably 10, 20 years ago, there's now a lot more recognition for basketball as a city around London, as a sport around the city of London. But it's gaining a lot more traction, and obviously with NBA London events like that, Adam Silver, the commissioner from the NBA, has pledged to match the investment made by the London Mayor into basketball and grassroots sports in the UK. So that's also another factor that's optimistic to look out for, as well as bringing basketball to cities like London, Manchester, even Liverpool. Partnering up with them is what's being proposed. But yeah, that's what we can look forward to, and I'm optimistic.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
I think I'm optimistic too. It'll be exciting to see what happens. Now Tassim, you're going to run us through the sports news from today. What do you have for us?
Yes, thank you, Mackenzie, definitely. On the topic of basketball, since we're talking about it, the NBA takes center stage. It's at the O2 Arena this weekend. The Memphis Grizzlies play the Orlando Magic on Sunday as part of an international exhibition game in London. We'll have the likes of Ja Morant playing Orlando Magics, so it should be a good game. Also on this Sunday, the African Cup of Nations final, where Senegal play host nation Morocco for the cup, and Egypt play Nigeria to determine third place. Any of you guys follow the AFCON Cup in this tournament? Anyone got any favourites?
Yeah, I mean, I'm rooting for Morocco.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough.
I'm just whoever wins.
Yeah.
Well done.
Fair enough. Yeah, I think Morocco's go. I think I'm with you on that one, Ella. Yeah. Now, any of you played paddle before?
I took some interest in it. I've dabbled in some tennis, and paddle seems like a bit of an easier version of tennis.
It's an odd sport, isn't it? It's like a table tennis racket, but you're on a tennis court.
Yeah.
It's quite odd. I've not played it before. I've seen people play it. It doesn't look like my cup of tea, but apparently for people in Wood Green it is. This is the news that London's Wood Green, the mall, could get a new paddle sports centre. Planning permission has been submitted to Haringey Council to transform the upper level of the car park into a paddle sports centre. The application is currently under public consultation, but until the end of the month.
Okay, I love paddle.
Do you love
You
it?
guys need to get involved.
Yeah.
I think it's like such a sociable game. I don't know why. I don't know why it's so sociable compared to other sports.
I didn't think about the social aspect. I didn't probably think about the sport a bit more, but if it's more social, then I guess.
No, there's a place at home that we go to, and it's like a farm. It's like a kids' farm park sort of thing. that they have like free baths, so they convert it into like paddle courts. And it's just so fun. We go for a little late night paddle sesh.
Cute. Lucky you.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'll check it out. In other news, Arsenal beat Chelsea in the London derby last night in the first leg of the semi-finals of the EFL Cup. Any Gunners fans? Any Blues fans? Yeah.
My kid likes Arsenal, but I've got to say I'm disappointed in Chelsea.
I think you're the odd one out because I'm from a Gunners family myself. Yeah.
It's 2v1 there.
I'm lost, just like
It's
Chelsea.
2v1, but Gunners beat the Blues 3-2 last night at Stamford Bridge. Garnacho scored 2 goals for the home crowd at Stamford, and Arsenal's Ben White scored in the 7th minute, Gyökeres in the 49th minute, and Zubimendi in the 71st minute.
That was wonderful performance.
Yeah.
But apart from sport to see, do you have anything lighter to show us?
Yes, definitely. We have a video for you to check out. I don't know if you've seen it, but take a look.
If you go onto our videos, there's a bus driver blowing bubbles. We've made a short little video compilation you can check out.
Definitely. This is the news that Reed, he's 54. He drives the 106 bus, which operates from London's Finsbury Park station to Whitechapel, the neighbourhood which he was born in and where children chant, "It's the bubble bus."
Oh,
So cute. When they see him coming. So that's something to look out for. He has a bubble gun that he uses and he points out of the window whilst he's at. Obviously, he's not driving the bus, but he'll definitely occasionally stick out and play the bubble.
Well, Tassine, I've learnt so much today, and it's been amazing hearing all of these stories. What was your favourite, Ella?
I think I loved your wall pot story because I learned something I wasn't informed about. It was a cute little nifty idea.
Yeah,
About you.
honestly, if you know a gardener, go pick up your wall pots. Wait for those online.
If you want more news, you can head over to the Londoners website for more stories in your area.
And don't forget to follow the Londoners News YouTube channel, where you can find our fellow journalist Amy and Malia sitting in exactly the same place tomorrow for some more London news.
Lovely. Thank you to see you for joining us. Thank you to everyone else, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.
Good evening.